Hi, everybody. Jack Russell, president of OneZone. I am so excited to start our new podcast series, Beyond the Roundabout with Mayor Finkam. This is something I think you and I talked about months ago, and time's been a little busy. But now we have time to create a podcast, which I love. We're still busy, but now we've just put it in our calendars to be there. And Beyond the Roundabout, really my goal and our goal has been, I think, our organization and our city work so closely together to truly, I think, serve the mission of helping businesses and community thrive. And what better way to sit down, have a conversation, but pick topics, talk about leadership, maybe as we go, talk about other businesses and bring them along and hear their stories as well. And so, number one, thank you, Mayor, for sitting down and having this conversation. And I think number two is our conversation today is going to be focused around business, of course, and economic development, mixed in probably with some stories, mixed in with some leadership. But I just wanted to start us off by saying that because I think it's fun that, I've been able to see you in your role do different video segments that you've been doing with small business owners. And so let's just add another piece that people get to know our community a little bit better.
Yep.
And that gives me the ability, as I told you, to take some swag that I have sitting in the back. So
this is the tight shot.
Yes. this Carmel gear, I think this is from like the 90s. So
no, if you've not said that, everyone thought it's just the brand new one because the 90s are back.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I have that old kind of logo on the side, but yeah, it's probably worth something now.
Probably is.
But so let's dive in, Mayor. Let's really talk about business and economic development. And so when we talk about business and economic development, I think it's changed over the years, what that looks like. And so how do we today, when we talk about business and economic development, define a thriving community? And kind of what does that look like in the city of Carmel?
That's a lot of questions in one when you think about it, right? Because I think there would probably be a textbook definition for business and economic development out there that different college professors would want to hold us accountable to.
Yeah.
I really just think if we're creating an environment where our businesses can thrive. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
How do they thrive? First of all, they want to have a place where their investment, if they're investing in land and a building on top of it, that's going to grow over time.
Yes.
They're going to want to make sure that they have an ability to hire talent and retain them.
Yeah.
And that there's a strong, since there's a strong correlation between happiness and job satisfaction, that they're providing an environment for their employees to be happy.
Yeah.
And then they want to make a buck on whatever they're selling or producing. So do they have a market out there who's either going to come up to their door and open it or buy online if their front door is their website? So I think it's all of those. And I think Carmel does a really good job punching above its weight in all three of those areas.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I think one of the other things that you've done such a fantastic job of is engaging individuals in our community through the events and programs that you've put together. I think we just announced another one today or yesterday. I think it was today. And so it's just, I think that's another factor that you've done such a good job of is how do we not only have these beautiful buildings and the beautiful things, but how do we embrace the people that are here alongside us? I think that, to your credit, I think that was from day one in the plan.
Exactly.
Was how do we not only make things look pretty, but how do we also engage the people that have invested their time, energy, and talent?
Absolutely. And I felt like people are the other leg of the stool that we forget about sometimes in building a community, as far as we focus on the built environment clearly. And that's been in Mayor Brainer's vision in developing an incredible community has been very successful.
Yeah.
And so that's rolling, right? That's moving. We're having investment. There's not a week that goes by that we don't get someone else interested. And how do I get office space there or retail space there? How do we build more for sale or for rent product for residential? But, how do we celebrate and support and encourage the people that live here in particular to love and engage with their community? Again, Carmel had several events, but we started to get kind of micro-targeted on some of the communities that we felt were important. Yeah. They were coming to us and saying, how can we have a greater role in the community we live in?
Yeah.
And I'm excited about that. I think we've got a lot more to go, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But we'll probably talk about more when we talk about our next topic, which is workforce development.
Yes.
So we can talk about that a little bit more later. But I feel like often I joke around that the city of Carmel government is an event shop that just happens to have a police and fire department.
Yes.
But in all seriousness,
Yeah.
events have been a key component to what we've done. We need to make sure, though, that we can launch them and then kick them out to the private sector to keep them rolling with the authenticity of the community backing it. And that we can focus on our core offerings, keeping people safe, keeping our roads healthy, keeping water healthy. So you turn on the faucet, it's also there, those things.
Well, I think you're right. I think it's a part of that service that you as government are providing is creating spaces for anybody, anywhere to feel as though they're connected to their community. I think that's huge.
I got the best gift today. And it's just what you just said.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I wasn't in the office when it was dropped off. But it's this beautiful box of, it looks like almond cookies.
Mm-hmm.
I have not had to indulge yet. I've gotten to indulge yet. And so I wish I could give her a plug because I don't have her card with me. Beautiful box of highly decorated almond cookies. And our scheduler said, the lady that dropped this off said, she wanted to drop this off for you. She's never felt more seen, more heard, or more connected to her community. I mean, that means a lot. It means everything to me. Yeah. And if we can do that, time and time again, whether it be one person at a time, 100 people at a time, or 1,000 people at a time, we are absolutely growing our community and helping our businesses thrive.
Yeah.
Because they're going to stay here, spend money here, feel good about where they live and work and enjoy.
100%. And I think as we look at the headquarters we have and the variety of things, I mean, from a mom and pop trying to start, and you being an entrepreneur, you know that, all the way to global companies that are, in essence, they do have that sense of where they kind of merge together, which is they're all trying to find an opportunity to engage their people, engage talent. And then a lot of times, one of the best parts that I always love when we go sell a membership to a Carmel company is I always ask, what brought you here? What interested you here? Why did you do it? And they're like, Carmel's the place that we know will embrace the thing that we do. And I think that's amazing how we've created that culture is, we wanted to, because as you know, it's a lot of sweat equity to open a business, to maybe even put a storefront, to be in the central core, to invest that time and energy. But every time we go knock on their door, this is where we want to be. This is the right place for us to be. And this is how we're going to do it. And so that's kudos to how do we build a community. And I think, like you said, building into getting to the person to say, hey, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm now a part of my community. And a lot of that's through programming. A lot of that's through those events that you and your team do. So thank you. We appreciate that.
People are so appreciative. And I think that's one of the things which I get asked a lot. What has surprised you the most? There's been probably several things that would fall in a bucket there. But one of the things that surprises me so much is how appreciative and excited people are when myself and other members of the city show up to celebrate them having a storefront.
Yes.
We just did that at Buffalo's. Yep. If you're an IU fan, which I think 70% of IU graduates who are from Indiana stay in Indiana, which is an incredible number. Many, many of them know Buffalo's, right, from Bloomington.
I was just
and they're now franchised into Carmel.
Yep.
And it was the first place I went to, and our son went to IU. He took us there, so kind of fun for mom and dad. But, they were so excited. Like, we can't believe we found space on Main Street in Carmel. This is a dream location for us, and it's an amazing way to launch store number 2.
Yeah. Look at their investment on the patio. I mean, it's gorgeous.
Yes.
I mean, that's what I always think is funny is, you're thriving when the outdoor patio, whoever makes those, you know what I'm talking about?
The pergola
the pergola that's like heated or whatever. I'm like, boy, they are thriving in Carmel because the amount of outdoor space that people have expanded to. And so it was fun to see that Buffalo Louie's as well. It's like not only do they have a great location, but then their investment even to, okay, we want to have more space. We want to be able to have more. And that's the placemaking piece, right? It's like not that the building's not great, but be able to get people out, like right along Muldoon's and right there where it's like you walk down that street and it is just busy with people sitting outside or people like I don't know. I feel like that's the culture that's been created in Carmel.
It's a place to see and be seen.
Yeah.
I was on that patio at Buffalo's waving at friends over at Muldoon's, right? And it's like, this is cool.
Yeah.
Sometimes we joke about the previous city engineer and I have joked about, you think that people would avoid Main Street driving through. It's slow. You creep through. But the people watching is fantastic. Even from your car when you're supposed to be paying attention to the road. People want to see how busy is Muldoon's? How's the place outside of Anthony's going in the little plaza? How is the Monine Trail being well activated? Yeah. People just want to see it. So they're willing to take the extra 2 to 5 minutes to crawl through Main Street, then go around it, which is super easy to do.
Yeah. And that's what I just laugh. Anytime we go down there, sometimes we just go down there and say, okay, whatever's open, we're just going to go find.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a huge part. When we talk about business and economic development, I think that's the other piece that's unique here is, when we talk about economic development, I think it's very different from what it used to be, even 5-10 years ago. And so when we talk about what have you seen when it comes to emerging trends, I mean, you have people that are knocking on the door, hey, we want to do this and that. What are some trends that you're seeing in economic development? I think especially because we as a city are landlocked. We do have to be more specific and a little bit more. What are trends or what are the things that you're seeing in economic development as we talked a lot about the central core, but I think there's so many other areas where we have so many great assets and opportunities. So where do you see kind of where that looks like trends-wise?
Well, I think first of all, when I got out of college, which is 4,000 years ago, it was, you moved to where the companies were.
Yeah.
Where the big brands were. So we all think of different cities we've been to. We see like logo after logo after logo on a corridor like a US 31 or I-65 or what have you. And so they're like, this is a place I should locate because there's all these job opportunities here. And it's over time flipped. So now companies are looking where the talent is, which has somewhat changed with remote work, although it's getting back to much closer to where it was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So one, it's like invest where the talent is. I think another thing is that we don't have as many companies ask for abatements.
Okay. Yeah.
I think we only have 4 to review this year by the city council. 4. Wow. Think of the size of Carmel.
Yeah.
And because we have already invested in the community, and so we can say, well, we don't really feel an abatement is necessary because you've got a beautiful streetscape. You've got an incredibly vibrant, view outside your boardroom window for that reason. And also, you're going to have year-over-year returns in your land. But I think the biggest thing we've seen is the flight to quality.
Yeah.
So the change from businesses going to what we would call we'll just say sub-A class properties where maybe they're built in the 80s or 90s. The floor plates are really big. It's old technology behind the walls, HVAC, wiring, heating and conditioning, not as many windows, lower ceilings. But the biggest thing is no amenities around it.
Yeah.
You drive to your car there, you get out, you go up an elevator, you get to your workspace, and at the end of the day, you come back down, you leave. That is highly undesirable by talent. And so businesses recognize that, and especially those that are trying to get their talent back to work
100%.
really want something where someone can park their car or walk from their home to go to work and then maybe pick up flowers on the way home for an anniversary or get a cup of coffee on the way up to the office or walk with their coworkers to lunch at a neighborhood or neighboring restaurant. So, and then, of course, the finishes inside really highly amenitized.
Oh, yeah.
So whether it be incredible co-working spaces or common spaces to motivational stuff on the walls. It's just not a vanilla office space anymore. Yeah. That's been the biggest trend and what we see driving change, relocation change in the market right now.
Yeah. I always laugh when I go into new office spaces and they have what looks like almost the exact kitchen I have. Where it's like, but you have to create it almost like in a home environment. And I think that's kind of unique too, is like now our own, how we design and what it looks like on the inside. The space has to feel different. The learning environment's different. And I kind of joke because it's like when I go see my kid at school and I'm like, oh, it's not a traditional, like there's this corner and there's this opportunity. Right. It's like, and we've just created a grown-up version of that where it's like, because I think you being an entrepreneur, like that's how people, when you put people in different settings to be creative and do that type of work, you have to have both the internal environment has to be that way to provide that. And then for those that need that 30-minute break, those that are going to go grab lunch and things like that, the last thing they want to do is go back in their car. And they want to go see their community. And I think that's what's been, kudos to you and your team is identifying, hey, how do we re-look at 31, the 31 corridor? How do we re-look at this in a phase of, it has done a great job for the city for what it was intended to do. It has helped. It has done its work. Now what's the 2.0 version of that? Yep. And I think that's a big piece of it.
It's staggering how much vacancy we have in that corridor right now. If you look at our central core around the Monon Trail, we're like 1% to 2% vacancy. If it's open, it's probably being repainted because it's already re-rented, right?
Right.
Same for the apartments that are in that space. On the US 31 corridor, we have in some areas 42% vacancy. We have 1.2 million square feet of vacant square footage in the corridor. And we're concerned that if we don't address it and pay attention to it and help get investment there, so the flight to quality can be on the US 31 corridor, that will create this own kind of version of a donut hole that other cities see. Indianapolis suffers from that a little bit, as do other communities. But when you see from 2015 on, the vacancy creeping up and up and up and up, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So that's why we're talking about it. That's why we're paying attention to it. And, depending on what time of day, what day of the week, we have 50 to 100,000 cars pass through by there a day.
That's crazy.
Main Street and US 31 is a premier address in Indiana. And so we want to make sure there's some great brands there. So if anyone's looking at expanding, we have some fantastic oceanfront space for you right on US 31.
This is where we take a break and we show you an aerial view of where you can invest.
Picture yourself. You will have some kind of augmented reality where you have your logo right on some gorgeous looking building on the corridor.
Well, I mean, it was exciting to see like Republic Airways announcing another hotel. And even when you look at that corridor, the assets that are sitting there, you have St. Vincent, IU, Forte, Franciscan sitting there, Zotac with their beautiful building. You do have that kind of ability to look around and go, okay, it's here. We've got we talk about access to healthcare, access to a major corridor. You're right. I mean, it's right there. And so it's great to see companies like Republic who have come in and seen the investment, and we announce, okay, you know what? We're going to do another hotel. And I think that is just the tipping point of, okay, I look at it, and that's something that I thought even when with Mayor Brainerd, I had said, hey, this is a corridor we're going to look at, but it also has some of the best assets that you have, and it has a Potbelly's on it, which I love Potbelly's. So
exactly.
So anyways,
one of our commercial brokers actually enlightened me to a statistic that I found fascinating, that roughly, we'll say 116th to Main Street on US 31. I don't know exactly what square footage she looked at, but that area is the wealthiest 1 mile in Indiana. 1 square mile in Indiana. Think about that. So if you're a retailer, where do you want to be? Right there. So we're hoping we see some investment along that corridor that brings retail. All these hundreds of people that Republic Airways is bringing in from across the country to train as pilots and attendants are looking for things to do. They've got beautiful space there on the campus, but they also have money in their pocket that they might need to buy a birthday gift or a new jacket for themselves for a party, and we want them to shop and get that done and right there. That's convenient. So we hope some investment comes our way. And
I love
from a retail.
That's the exciting part. It's such a great opportunity.
Hey, can we debunk another fact?
Yes.
I see this on social all the time.
I'm ready.
You ready? You sure? So that we have all these empty storefronts. We have all this vacancy. Our retail vacancy is 1.7%. So it's not empty. It's either leased and just not open yet, or in the process of being, changed.
I agree. I see a lot of, at least we see a lot of it from our membership. Is they're changing addresses because they actually need more space.
Yes.
Sometimes they start, a lot of what has been created is a 2,000, 2,200 square foot space. And when they find themselves being successful, they move in. Sometimes 9 times out of 10, what we see, at least from the chamber side, is that they're giving us the same Carmel address, just in a bigger location.
Yes.
And where they come to us and they go, well, we're ready for another ribbon cutting. And you're like, okay. So
a perfect example of that is Honey.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're members of yours or not. Okay, good.
Yes.
I don't have their list in front of me. But Honey is a great story. Here's a young entrepreneur who had an idea for permanent jewelry, which I hadn't heard of until I met her. And she was operating in one of the work-live spaces on Main Street, and then grew it and needed more space. And she went big time and went to City Center, which is not a cheap address. It's because it has an incredible amount of purchasing power for people walking through there. And so she went right there. I'm like so excited for her.
Yeah.
And so that's a perfect example. She just moved a mile away from, maybe not even that, from her other location. And it's a success story. And I know that's the piece about being an entrepreneur that I really feel in my heart and soul is the first time I had to sign a document backstopping my mortgage on the growth of our business. My husband has a manufacturing facility. Well, technically we.
Yeah.
But my husband operates a manufacturing facility in Florida. And then as I owned a marketing agency. And so the first time I had to literally sign that my house was on the line in case the manufacturing facility didn't do well, it became like really real.
Yeah.
And of course I had to do that for loans as my business was growing super fast. And I feel for small business owners because it's not easy.
Yeah.
These economic conditions like tariffs and COVID and other things that change your trajectory for your business growth or even stabilization, right? There's a certain point the growing companies have to stabilize, and it's just heart-wrenching and scary, and it's not for the faint of heart. So I have a soft spot in my heart for all those businesses who are really people, where it's not a ticker, a stock symbol.
Yeah.
It's truly a family whose future relies on the success of that business.
Yeah. That was actually my next question was around, where does small business play a role in economic development? It sounds like a huge part of how we do things, especially the way that things are built nowadays.
Yes.
A lot of first floor retail, folks, apartments or office space above it. And so, I think that's one thing that I wanted to talk with you about as a small business owner is, as you look at your plan in economic development and the future of Carmel, where does small business play a role in that?
It's huge.
Yeah.
And we're trying to slowly, organically grow that community so that they truly are a community. Our Carmel Small Business Network meets 4 to 6 times a year. And we've seen that grow, the participation grow. We want to keep that growing. So if there's someone listening who hasn't attended those, send me a note because we want to get them connected with that. A lot of it is retailers or small service providers, but it can be any small business who just wants to have a cohort of people who feel their pain.
Yeah.
Right? So, but small businesses are also, I think, a point of community pride.
Yeah.
Because people who live here want to support small business, especially those that have made an investment in our community. Our Main Street wouldn't be what it is without all those storefronts, right? And storefronts. So when Carmel football has a great win, they're celebrating it along with everybody else in our community. So I feel like we have to nurture and support our small business. We've been doing it by going to stores or businesses and doing videos.
Love that.
I hate being on video, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah.
I hate being on
video.
video.
Just have 3 cameras. It's not a big deal.
Exactly. Not intimidating at all. I only do it because it gets our businesses on video and we get to tell their story. Because almost everyone everyone we have so far has some kind of give back they're doing, whether it be, donating to a philanthropic cause, or whether it be celebrating families or, doing something for kids in our community. It's really cool to get those stories out for people to learn about. And again, they have limited marketing budgets. And if we can help by just using the following that we have on our social media and our email newsletter pages to push that out and help tell their story, that's a good thing.
Yeah. And I think we share that saying it's, 80% of our membership is small business.
Is it?
And so when we are very intentional, we tell our membership when they take the survey, our membership survey we do twice a year. And I tell them every single time, please don't think that you're going to fill this out and we're going to do nothing.
Yeah.
Like that's our job, is to figure out what are the needs, what are the wants, what are the things you need in the organization? What are we not providing? Because a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, we don't know what we don't know. And so what are we not providing that is a barrier for your business?
How has that changed over time? What have their answers molded into that you didn't expect, or that's just newer now?
I think for a long time, it was finding people.
Okay.
I think over time, one of the unique things that has come up is, I think it's a national thing, it's a state thing, is childcare.
Yes.
I think that has made its way, because I think we defined workforce as the person back in the day. And now the person is, where are they going to live? What are their needs?
Yeah.
What are their wants? And so we've taken kind of individual silos and put them together. And so now we define it in a variety of different fronts. So what does talent look like and workforce look like? And I would say what has surprised me post-COVID is when we do our surveys, the same 12, about 15 actually, but the same 15 items. How would you rank them? Childcare in 2021 was usually at the bottom. 22 made its way a couple ways up. 23. In 24, it was the number 2 issue. And actually number 3 was mental health. And so that's where we try to figure out, okay, what's our role now? And then that's where we give, and that's where I think people that listen need to know is like, that's our job as we finish a survey, is to come to you as a city, you as the mayor, and say, hey, this is what we're hearing. This is what we're doing. And how do we work together to solve those things? Because from the health, especially from the mental health side, we've now invested in a health and wellness committee that the folk like Ascension and IU and some Forte and a lot of the folks are here and say, so we're going to our business leaders and saying, what resources do you have available that we can provide our businesses and our community to make sure that we're happier, healthier, and all around we feel better.
Love it.
And our healthcare providers are like, done. What do you want? You want us to do a blood pressure test? You want us to, you want to get in free for lunch? Donate blood. I don't know, something crazy like that. But that's where now we're taking that next step. And so I think the same as what you have done is we've tried to match that energy with our city, which is, what are your needs? What are your wants? We don't know what we don't know. Help us help you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how we've been successful. But I think a lot of this as well that we've grown and done a good job is you and I have a relationship where it's like, hey, this is what I'm hearing. Hey, this is what I want. And I think that's something I wanted in our first podcast was we talk to each other a lot. Like, and if it's not just us, like your team and us work together on a lot of things. It's just not once a year state of the city.
And it's not just ribbon cuttings, even though you're
and not just ribbon cuttings. It is, hey, we're working on this. Hey, we're trying to accomplish this. Where can the chamber and vice versa? Where can the city come along with us to help? And I think that's something that people don't realize. When we talk about business and economic development, we are not siloed. We work so closely together in the fact of we share a common goal, which is how do we make our community better?
And I think, and I'm not one to give myself kudos, but I do think you and I have both made that very intentional.
Yes.
And I think it's been one of the good things.
Yes.
We can all write the things we could do better.
Yes.
But I think that is a good thing that we've made that very intentional, both the collaboration, also the focus on the community. Mm-hmm. That brings our respective constituent bases value. Yeah. And I think we recognize that. So I think that's a good thing we're doing, supported by lots and lots of people around us, right? So I think that's cool. And, interestingly, when we did a city survey last year, community-wide survey, we're talking about healthcare and mental health and wellness. We asked, why did you move here? And what items, attributes, we had a list of them, made you move here, and what keeps you here. And there was only, I think, two, but one big one where they said where the number grew as far as what keeps you here.
Yeah.
And that was access to high-quality healthcare. Yeah. And I think that's because the needs are so high. And I think also people recognize they move to our community and like, wow, we've got incredible healthcare partners sitting right here. And that's always one of the top 5 reasons people value a community, look for a place to live. That's one of the reasons they look at. So I'm glad we have amazing resources here to pull from.
And I don't say this because they're our top investors. There are excellent healthcare. I kind of joke, but there are excellent healthcare systems that are all right here within 25 minutes away. I mean, we just did a ribbon cutting for the oncology for community. Yeah. And one of the things our board member, Richard Fennell, who runs that area of community health, said, thank you for coming. I hope you never have to come back.
Right.
And it was like, wow, but it's good to know that all those services right there, the oncology center on 31, you have IU across the street, you have the same, again, that's that core, but, and they're located at other locations. But, as I stepped out of that ribbon cutting, I'm looking like, oh my gosh, they are all right here on our own backyard. And I think, the reason I think I kind of went down that rabbit hole of healthcare, and we've talked about that, is that goes back to economic development and the quality of life that people are expecting and looking for. And as a business, whether they're expanding and wanting to stay here, or it's a new business that knocks on your door, there's going to be a checklist of things that they as a business are going to go, okay, can you provide me these things for my people? Because we are people driven. And we in Carmel are just in a good position to attract that talent and attract those folks, but also expand and grow the existing base that we have today. I think it's a good problem to have. It's just how do we continue to expand and grow on it?
It was interesting. I had the pleasure of presenting in New York City 2 weeks ago to 60 family investors in the room, 60 more on a live stream, and they were mailing this presentation out to like another 800. So an incredible opportunity of people from around the world interested in investing their family's wealth into communities. And so, again, with grace of God and a nice invitation, we got to present there. And hearing some of the investors talk about why and how they invest their dollars, it couldn't have been more Carmel focused without adding the name Carmel in it. We want a safe community. We want to know our community, our investment's going to be safe long term. We want to make sure that it will have talent and vibrancy, and that it's a unique community. Like all these things, like you're describing Carmel, Indiana.
Yeah.
PT.
I love that.
So hopefully, that was planting seeds, and hopefully over the next 20 years, some of those families choose to invest in projects that are coming to Carmel or contemplating coming to Carmel. But you never know those opportunities, how they pan out.
Yeah.
But it was super cool that they got it. They got it right away.
Well, I'm sure you as the mayor is like, that's us.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Stop what you're doing.
Well, we used a deck that was heavy on photography, heavy on video. It was in New York, so I got my New York Knicks knock in.
Good,
I hope it
good.
just jinx us for game
I
5
know. Yes.
or 6.
Yeah.
But it was great to see like their eyes lit up and some of the statistics we had.
Yeah.
I know we get to brag on our incredible school system. The low vacancy rate for housing for rent as well as for sale, and then also retail is just incredibly.
It's awesome.
Incredibly fun to say, that's the mayor gets to be the cheerleader, right? And the advocate. So it was a super fun opportunity.
I love that. Well, Mayor, I don't want to, we could sit here probably for another hour.
Like it.
Lunch turns into later down the road. But I just want to say thank you. I think one of the things I kind of wanted to also do was, we talked a lot about economic development. We talked a lot about quality of place and things like that. Just a small segment here on leadership. And I think one of the things I had written down is kind of, are there any stories, I'm going to use a variety of fronts, stories, books, podcasts that motivate you? I mean, the best thing about being a leader is copying and pasting and listening to other great leaders. Yeah. And so is there anything in your role right now that you're listening to or reading or whatever that is supporting that bucket of leadership?
One of my favorite books is The Road Less Stupid.
I love
Lessons
it.
from the chairman of the board.
Okay.
I'm going to forget his name right now, but you can Google it and find it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. The chapters are short. If you're an Audible listener or an Audible book listener, his voice sounds like Grandpa coming through the speakers.
I love that.
Kind of gruff, no nonsense guy, and it has always makes me think. And that is a book I can listen to over and over and over again.
I love that.
So I highly recommend.
That's
that
so funny. I love the titles alone is catchy, so that's good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for sure, The Road Less Stupid. I can't think of his name right now, but I think what's exciting is that with this technology, we can listen to podcasts, we can listen to books, we can read articles on our iPads or our phones, or iPads or our phones or something like that, and get little snippets of stuff all the time. Yeah. Versus having to really be more of a concerted effort to get access to materials. Yeah. So it makes me a better leader, because if I have 15 minutes in the car, when I drive back to my next engagement, I will have something in my car that I can get 15 minutes of clear-headed thinking about a new business topic. So it's kind of cool.
I think that's the fun part about technology nowadays. It's like there are times where I'll subscribe or follow an Instagram page that's just, sometimes it's just motivational stuff. Yeah. Where you're like, okay, that's what I needed today. And so, but I think one of the things we talked about even before the start is like, I think taking that time as a leader to invest is hard. It's hard to find that.
For sure.
And being able to invest in ourselves sometimes, whether that's the 15-minute car ride. I'm lucky. I don't know if I'm lucky, but I'm lucky enough to have 30 minutes to go to work every day. So a lot of mine is Craig Rochelle. He has a 20-minute podcast. Okay. Number one, that's probably not only the drive time, but my attention span is probably about the 20 minutes after too long. But I think that's important. I think that's why I wanted to bring up a little bit of that leadership discussion, because you are a leader of a city, and you have others that you lead and guide that do great things that continue. It's a city. How many employees do we have in the city of Carmel?
Well, it's a little confusing because we have roughly, we'll say 800 for the city, but then the Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation has another, at their high water mark, 700. I think it's usually around 400, right? When they have a summer flex up for all the great programs they put on each summer. So that's another huge chunk of employees that we have. And we're thankful each and every one of them. And I think that I learned from them often as well. I stopped and talked to one of our employees in the parking lot the other day, and he gave me some just interesting advice, right? And I'm like, man, that was 20 seconds. I could have stopped and said, hey, and kept walking. Or, instead of stopping, I could have kept walking. And just the 20-second advice I got from him was inspirational and also educational. Like, I love our employees. They don't get enough credit for all the hard work that they do to make this brand strong. So every single time you see Carmel ranked number 2 by U.S. News & World Report's best place to live in the U.S., which is the most recent one we got last week. Incredible acknowledgement of our employees' hard work. They do it. They make it happen every single day.
It's amazing. I told my wife all the time that when I retire, I want to be the guy on the back. I'm looking at Jack, sorry. I want to be the guy on the back of the truck that waters all the plants, all the flowers off the things. Every time I drive along downtown, I'm like, I want that job. One day I'm going to have that job.
It's so rewarding. You put water, it's going to grow and it looks beautiful.
And everybody on social media, I just love our flowers. I'm like, what a fun job to have. It's so fun. So that's one of those jobs every time I drive, especially in like the spring and summertime when those plants come out on the things. I'm like, oh, that's the job I want.
Okay, so I have a funny story. Speaking of leadership, so our CFO, who's fantastic, Zach, if you're listening, love you. But he suggested as we're looking at ways to save money because we're going to have to cut our budget a little bit in the next couple of years, or a lot. And, the Carmel invests a lot in flowers, plants, and shrubs. I think it was the section he had. I heard him out and I listened to him. I'm like, there are no sacred cows. Everything is touchable. However, I think you need to understand Carmel and its commitment to beautifying our community. And I said, I can tell you one thing. If those hanging baskets went away, I'll never get elected anything ever in Hamilton County again. So please don't touch those.
That is so funny. Well, I would agree with you. Please don't. And if you need anybody, I'm right here to help.
I just need that little snippet right there to email into him.
We'll make sure that we got Jack. We'll make sure that you got you. Well, Mayor, I just want to say thank you. This has been fun. I think as we go forward, it's going to continue to evolve and adapt. And as our brains kind of think about, okay, how can we do it this way? How can we do it that way? And I encourage people, make sure you subscribe to our podcast, listen each and every month as we sit down and just have a conversation. I think that's the thing that we don't do as much as we should do. Sitting down, have a conversation and understand that everybody is working to make Carmel a better place. And
Absolutely.
It is. It's a place I fell in love with. This is my 7th year at OneZone. From
really?
7 years. I know.
Crazy.
Time flies. I know. Trust me. But I think what's been fun about it, we've known each other all 7, has been just the way that Carmel embraces its community. It's very passionate about a lot of things. But it's because they expect a high level of quality of place, quality of life. And it has been so fun in this job. I tell people all the time, that's the most fun part of my job, is that I have communities that just hold a very high standard of how they want to look, how they want to act. And it just brings you this energy. And I'm sure it's the same for you as you've been in city council and things like that. It's like, it's just a beautiful city with amazing people that are doing amazing things.
Game changers, world leaders. They have high expectations for themselves and others. And that radiates around our community. And so we have the same high expectations for serving them in the city of Carmel, as I know you do from OneZone. And I think we wouldn't be the same community without community input. So that's my segue for anyone listening or watching, is to make sure if you have ideas to make Carmel better, the city of Carmel, make OneZone better, make our service delivery better, let us know, because that's what we thrive on, is that community input. And same thing for this podcast, which, I probably shouldn't open that up because we'll get 500 emails about how to make
Dear Jack.
Well, as long as I say Jack and not loser. Right?
Yes. That's probably a good
Or
point.
me, I only tell you some of the names that I've gotten some emails. No, that's not true. Very, very kind people email me immediately. But anyway, if you have any feedback on how to make our community better, how we serve our businesses, our residents better, please let us know. It's important. We hear from you.
Love it. Well, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Truly appreciate it. And thank you all so much for being a part of Beyond the Roundabout.